Welcome back. So now we'll discuss control structure, especially the if control structure. If control structure is in chapter 2. And this if control structure falls under selection or conditional control structure. This control structure you'll find in almost every language. And especially the way we are going to use it, it will be identical in Java, C#, and the C language. Now this is how the if control structure works in C++ language. So you have if, parenthesis, open, and you have one or more conditions in those parentheses. So initially we'll start with one condition, then we'll add multiple conditions. Now if the condition is true, whatever the condition is, if the condition is true, you go inside the body of the if structure and start executing those statements. You might have one or multiple statements. So if this condition is true, you will go inside and you will run these statements. If the condition is false, you will exit out and you will run the statements after the control structure. And this is true for other languages as well. So our goal is to figure it out what condition I want to check and why do I need to check those conditions. And as a layperson, you will think that why do we need to use if control structure in this particular case? And we use if condition in our daily lives all the time. Give me an example where you use if condition. Or you used it this morning or this afternoon.
If light is green,
go. If light is green, yeah, absolutely. Give me another example.
Looks like your child, like if you clean the room, you go outside.
Yeah, sure.
If hungry, eat.
If hungry, eat. If she's cute, ask for the phone number. Yeah. So these are the control structures we use on daily basis, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, right? So in these languages, remember I said this is the heart of the programming, along with the repetition. You'll see the significance of these control structures. Starting project 2, you will not write a single line of code or single line of program where you're not using some kind of control structures, because they control the flow of your program, and that's what it's saying in your chapter 2, flow of control. The order in which the statements are supposed to be executed based on your logic developed by you, algorithm used by you. Let's program the branching. Let's program choose between two different choices, or 3 or 4 or 5 different choices. So if this happens, do this. Otherwise, if this happens, do something else. Otherwise, this something else happens, and on and on and on. So you'll see that we can actually have multiple branches when we are checking these control structures. And it gives you an example. I'm going to use my own example. Example I have here is if age is greater than 18. So this is my condition. And in this case, I only have one condition, assuming age is some kind of variable. And I'm checking if this is true, then do this. If this is not true, then it will go to the second level of condition. In this case, I added the second condition as well. It goes to the else part, and then it checks the second condition. The second condition is if age is exactly 18, equals 18, then do this. So if this is false, then it'll go to the third condition. And third condition is just the else part. If this doesn't happen, then I'll do this. So, and we'll actually learn how we can actually have a compounding impact of these control structures. Yeah.
So else if you're going to continue it.
If you want to continue. That's right. So else is the last resort. Else is like a default place where none of these things happen, you will end up here. Now you don't need to have else, but as a safe resort, as a safe place, you can leave it else. So I'll show you the code where you have else or no else as well. Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah, that's right. You don't have to. Based on how your logic is and how you want your program to flow. So you're absolutely right that you don't have to have the else part or the default location. Now you have if by itself, and you can check multiple conditions by itself. For example, so let's actually take an example here. So if I check if gender equals female, so that's one condition. If this happens, I'm going to go inside and run these statements. Then I go here, then I check if age greater than 18. Then I'll go inside here and check these statements. Notice that these two control structures are not connected with each other. They are standalone. This one is standalone. This one is standalone. Do you think I can combine them as well? In your conversation, do you say, I'm looking for a person who is above 18 and who's a female? Can you combine those two statements? So we'll learn how to combine them as well. So, but you can have these separate, or you can actually have more compounded impact of these statements. So we'll learn both of these in our code as well. And basically it tells you there are certain arithmetic operators we use, or I should say relational operators we use, and those are equal equals. Help me out, guys. Less than, greater than, less than equal, not equal. Let me put the greater equal, then I'll put the not equal. Yeah, these are the 6 of them. So there are 6 relational operators. These are called relational operators. This is a good quiz question. So I might change one of these in your quiz. I might throw something else. For example, if I put this one, is this a relational operator? But it's very tricky. Chances are you'll forget and you'll say, oh, this is equal. This is not equal. This is equal. So that's equal, greater, less, greater, equal, less than equal, not equal. In some languages, you might not find not equal like this. You might find different way, in a different way. So in C++, this operator means not. This means not. So this, when you put it together, it means not equal. And we use not equal frequently. Not equal is a very useful operator when you want to negate certain things. So you want to check in a negation form. Yeah. So I'm going to use most of these, and I'll show you the benefits of these. And you'll be using some of these in your project number 2 as well. And it shows you how do you put together true statement and false statement, as I demonstrated true versus false statements. Then it talks about some additional operators, and those are called logical operators. So these are relational operators. Let me throw the logical operators as well. So there are 3 logical operators. So these are relational, and there are logical operators. So there's not. What else? And. This is what the AND looks like in C++. And OR. So this is your NOT operator. This is your AND operator. This is your OR operator. So there are 3 of them. And again, we combine multiple conditions by using AND or OR. For example, we can say, we'll go for a movie and we'll go for coffee. So we are saying both of those conditions. Those conditions must be met. We'll go for movie and we'll go for coffee. With the AND operator, which means both conditions must be true. What if you say, I don't want to go for Black Panther movie. I just want to go for coffee. With those 2 conditions, there's no deal. You're not going because you wanted both of them. You wanted coffee and the movie. If you have an OR operator, you can say, we'll go for a movie or we'll go for coffee. Now, either one of these conditions will be. In fact, we follow the truth tables. Let me show you what the truth table looks like. And we use these truth table in critical thinking, philosophy, math, and other places as well. The AND truth table, is the first condition. So if this is your condition 1, condition 2, and the result. And you can have more than one condition. You can have 3, 4, 5 of them. If this is true, in case of AND, what will be the result? True. In case of AND, if this is true, the first one is true, the second one is false. False. So the first one is false, the second one is true. False. So the first one is false, the second one is false. False. So in case of AND, it's only true when all the conditions are true. First, second, third, all of them are true. So in case of and, for example, you say, I want to go for movie and coffee and popcorns, for example, all three conditions. So then all conditions must be met in order to execute that plan. In case of or, so if I change this to or is a pipe symbol. You'll find this symbol right above your enter key. If you look at the keyboard, that or symbol is right above the enter key. So in case of or, so the first condition is true, second is true, result is true. First is true, second is false, true, absolutely. False, true, true. False, false, false. So in case of or, the truth table shows only the or will not be executed, the conditions with or, if all conditions are false. And you can have 3 or 4 or 5 of them. Now there's another one called not. So if you apply not, and if you make the truth table for that one, so here's your condition 1, condition 2, and result. So the first is true. In fact, in that case, I don't need multiple conditions. Just result will be fine. So in this case, if the first is true, what will be the result if I'm applying not? False. If the condition is false, result will be true. It reverses it. And again, we use this frequently, that not operator saves you a lot of coding. So instead of writing 5 different things to test something, you can simply negate it in order to verify certain things in your code. And we'll actually get to that not operator as well. All right, so that's what it's referring here. And you can apply, here's condition 1, here's condition 2, and this is how you can apply AND operator. Now, although the parentheses are not needed for multiple conditions, but they're highly recommended. So if you have, let's say, 2 conditions here, it is highly recommended that you have the second condition here. So here's your first condition, here's your second condition. But remember, if itself needs another set of parentheses. So you need a parenthesis right there. Because this is one condition, this is second condition. So you can actually put it in parentheses. It's more readable, and you will have fewer chances of making mistakes when you are using parentheses. Here's a good example here.
Parentheses required
for the if itself. For it if itself, yeah. Okay, so then it talks about or. Here's an example of how to apply or, and I'll demonstrate that to you once I get to the Visual Studio. Shows you the not operator. Basically, it's reversing your result. And it's basically telling you, be careful translating inequalities to C++. And it says x less than y and y less than z does not mean x less than y less than z. That does not mean that. So it's basically saying that some of us, we come with a math mindset. It might not be applicable in this case. So and then it talked about equal equal versus single equal. I already have mentioned that one to you. This, all of you will make that mistake, or some of you will make that mistake. This is absolutely incorrect. Logically, this is incorrect. Syntax-wise, this is correct. And that's where many of the errors will take place. Because we were trying to test if x equals 3. But accidentally, we put a single equal.
Is there a triple equal?
No. And then it shows you how to compound them. Now, if you have just one statement under if, you don't need the parentheses. If you just have one statement, for example, looks like this. If condition, and you have just one statement right there, you don't need the parentheses. However, for our class, please put parentheses. Make a habit. Make a habit, add the parentheses here. Even if there's only one statement, it will make your life easier later on. Because later on, after some time, you come back and you want to add another statement. You put the statement there. Now probably it's going to end up with a different result. And you'll probably scratch your head why I'm not getting the expected result. Just make a habit. Use the body by using the curly braces. And that's called compound statement. So in our class, regardless, we are going to use compound statement. Compound statement means the body of your if condition and else part will reside inside parentheses. And that's it. That's it with the conditions. Now let's actually test it. And we'll go back to our code here. And I'm going to take the gender first. Put the gender here. By the way, when you are here, how do you comment out certain statements? If I want to comment out these lines, what do I do? I can use // right? What if I have multiple lines? I would like to comment on multiple lines. So I can use /* or */, right there. What if I have so many lines, I just want to highlight and comment on all of them. So there is another way. You can highlight multiple lines, assuming you have 8, 10, 20, 50 lines. Highlight them, and there's a button here, comment it out, or comment out. You click on it, automatically it will do it for you. When you want to undo it, highlight and uncomment, which is this button here. So you can always try these. And I do this frequently because I'm testing multiple things in my code. So I comment out certain things, I come back and uncomment when I need them. Now here I have gender. I'm going to ask the user for gender. I capture the value from the user. Then I'll test it. This is how you can test it. If gender equals female. Now, tell me if this statement is correct. Okay, why I'm using single quote here? Is single quote legal? So it's a character, absolutely right. If you notice that, let me move it a little bit. It's a character right there. Gender is a character. So characters use single quote. Remember, character is one character, and that's a single quote. So what if I want to check if the user enters uppercase F or lowercase f? One of those conditions.
I was going to ask you, they're different numbers, right? Lowercase and F, so you have to have an or.
That's right. So we can actually put two conditions here. So let me encapsulate these like this. So this is one condition, and here's my second condition. So or symbol, that's your or symbol, and you can say gender equals lowercase f. And put this in the second set of parentheses. Right there. So now we have two conditions here. Okay, so one condition to check uppercase F coming from the user. One is to check lowercase f.
If you don't encapsulate it, it'll still work.
It still work, yeah. Still work. But it's more readable, and it's a habit which will save you a lot of time and effort later on. And probably your company will save millions of dollars. Trust me on this. Trust me on this. These are the things you build as a good habit. Remember, your mom and your dad always tell you have good habits, good eating manners. Don't burp in front of everyone. And I'm not sure I'm supposed to say on the recording, but don't fart. So what do you have a habit of farting everywhere? What will happen? You're sitting with the CEO of the company. He's about to offer you $1 million job or whatever, and you have that habit. Guess what? You just lost $1 million. So those are the habits you want to develop at this level. And those are the habits I'm giving you from my experience. A lot of things are not required, but like initialization, readability, indentation, those are not required, but they're very useful. Those are good habits. Those are the eating manners. Those are the manners how to talk to people, how to call strangers, and how you see someone in somewhere and you are respectful. Guess what? He or she might be a vice president of the company. They say, you know what? Come for the interview. Happens all the time. It's not a movie. It happens all the time. You see someone, say, beautiful shoes or beautiful tie, and they just had a fight with their wife, and they were about to do something harm to themselves, and you say this positive thing, changes their life. And they say, you know what, let's talk. So what I'm saying is that's a habit you want to develop. So here, if this is true, I will be able to go inside. I'm going to test it. I'll say inside gender loop. That's kind of a dangerous statement. Inside the loop. These days we have to be very careful. I remember one of my colleague, the poor guy, he had an African American student in the class, and she said, you know, Professor, my keyboard is stuck. My keyboard is stuck. He said, no problem. He couldn't reach her. He's going to say, okay, let me hit the key. And he hit the key. Coincidentally, it was KKK 3 times. And he was a white guy. The lady was a African American. She got upset. He went to the dean's office. He said, he's harassing me. So you have to be very careful what we type these days. You never know what people are thinking and is a harassment. You know, Me Too movement is a good movement. At the same time, many innocent people are getting into this Me Too wave. Many innocent people. And it's unfortunate. There are a lot of cuckoo head people in the world, and they are saying, okay, I'm going to just take a revenge. Doesn't matter what the result is, that guy's life is ruined completely. All right, so let's come back to this one. So if this condition is true, I'll go inside the loop. And if the condition is not true, what do I do? What do I do? So I have a choice not to do anything, or I have a choice to put else part right there. And just to test it, I'll just put it there, not in the loop, just to test it. I should not say loop, but just to test it. Or false condition inside the condition. Loop is not the right word. All right, let's test it. I'm going to hit F5, Control F5. And it's asking for the gender, as expected, as you can see right there. I'm going to put lowercase f. Lowercase f means, and by the way, if I put uppercase f in this case, that's the first condition. If this condition is met, what do you think logically? Is it going to check the second condition? Is there any need to check the second condition? Compiler ignores the second condition. Same thing with AND. If the first condition is false, it has no need to check second or third or fourth condition because that's waste of time. So few nanoseconds will be lost. So it's just going to ignore it. Same thing in this case, if the first condition is met, it doesn't even check the second condition. If I hit enter, it says inside the condition, as expected. As expected. And we were successful in executing that code.
So it stops after, once it finds a match and it doesn't process the other conditions.
Correct, correct. So what happens, if I can get your attention, guys, so what happens that it ignores, if this condition was true, then the entire structure, let's say we have second, third, fourth, fifth, all these conditions within the same structure, it ignores all of them. It says, well, if this condition is met, I'm going to ignore this part and any other related conditions I have underneath. It ignores all of them.
But you said also within the first 2 conditions, if the first one matches,
correct,
then ignores the rest.
Ignores the second one. That's right. Because in case of OR, only one needs to be true, and if the first one is true, it ignores the second one.
Or in case of AND, if one is false, then it just ignores whatever.
Correct, correct. So as you can see, that successfully executed this line inside the body, and then it went to the next statement. Now, if I make my condition false, let's assume the gender was not female. This time gender is male. And what exactly we are expecting? Actually, doesn't really matter because we can put male or something else because we don't have any conditions to verify. It goes to else part. It says not in the condition. Not in the condition. So as you can see that it goes to the other half, which was the false area of the condition. Let's go one step further, guys. So this time, I'm going to go inside. If the condition was true, I'm going to go inside, and I also want to check if age is greater than 18. Less than 18. Let's do that less than 18 first. And notice that I'm actually adding a condition within a condition. Anybody knows what do we call this concept? Condition within a condition? Nesting. Absolutely. It's called nesting. So you're nesting your conditions. You can have 2, 3, 4, 5. More complex programs could be 7 levels. Now, automatically the compiler and the editor, they will do the indentation for you. Please do not remove the indentation. Do not write everything in just one straight line vertically. It will be very hard to find the bugs in your program, logical bugs. So leave the way it is, or intentionally have the indentation. All right, so if this condition is true, you want to check something like this. You are underage. Just to test it. Else part, there's an else part, and let me show you 2 ways, and I'll give you my view on this one. Okay, let me add a value to this one, to this discussion. If this condition is false, age is not less than 18, it's something different, let's say age is exactly 18 or greater than 18, then I'll go to the else part. In the else part, in the body of the else, I have another condition. Now, don't you think I can combine this condition with this else here? By the way, in both ways, you will get the same results. There are some benefits in certain style of coding. What I'm trying to say here is, what if I combine this over here? What do you think? Do you think I'll get the same results? Instead of putting this if inside the body of else, I can combine it right here. So you'll see both ways. Most of the time you'll see like this, unless there are specific things you have to do when you go to the else part, maybe set certain counters, reset certain values, maybe. But most of the time you will see like this. So you're saying if age is not less than 18, maybe age is equal 18. If that's the case, then do something here and say you are exactly 18. Otherwise, let's go back here, else if, and say age is greater than 18. And then you can say okay, so you go inside here and display a message here. Else, you can put another else here. What if the value was invalid? So if this was not true, this was not true, this one was not true, but there was an invalid value. Like you're expecting a number, but somebody gives you a character. Maybe you can go to the else part and say invalid value or something like that, which we will discuss later on. Now, what if you are under here, under age 18, and by the way, this is all under this bigger if condition. Under this bigger if condition, you got to this point, somebody was above 18, you come back here, and then you can put the zip code here. If zip equals 90276, then do something. What if that's the case? I'm not sure it's something to be happy about, but I'm just to keep our spirits high, so we don't feel discouraged. Guys, I'm just joking. So, all right. So now I actually have a third condition. So first I had the gender check. Then I had, again, that's a statement I should not be recording. I didn't do the gender check. I just checked the condition. I just checked the condition, then I checked the age, then I'm checking the zip code here. So there are 3 different conditions. They are all nested. So the zip code is nested under age, and age is nested under gender. As you can see that we can go deeper and deeper and deeper. How deep? It depends upon your comfort level. Initially, when you're learning, try to keep each statement condition separate. Gradually, once you feel comfortable, then add more complexity to it. But here, the only issue I have is telling me the zip code is not declared. So let's actually put a zip code right here. Let's say zip code is some kind of integer. Let's have an initial value of 90276, assuming that's our zip code. And how about age? Do we have age? Let's actually pick up the age. Did I have the age value? No. Let's actually have an age here also. 19, 17. Okay, so let's test this one. So it's asking for gender. I said the gender is female, lowercase f. And it says inside the condition, which is right there. So it means it successfully went inside because the gender was female. Then age was 17 because I provided the data earlier on. As you can see, age is 17. When age is 17, it should display this value. And let's take a look. And it says you are under age. So it seems like that's working. This time we'll change our age to 19. And let's test our code. It says provide the data. And this is you live in Santa Ana. This time it was able to verify the zip code as well, because I had provided the zip code value as well. So as you can see, it checked not only the age was greater than 18, 19 is greater than 18, it also verified the zip code and went inside. So 3 different conditions, or I would say 4 different conditions were checked, because female was also checked earlier on, uppercase F and lowercase f. Okay, this is enough information so we can actually work on the second project. When we come back on Tuesday, there's a few more things I have to talk about, especially switch in case. I don't want to talk about switch in case at this stage because it might confuse you. Shall I use switch in case? You may do so. Some of you are comfortable with switch case. Switch case has limitations, although it has its own place, but it has some limitations. Switch case cannot be used with strings and doubles. In case of if, any kind of data can be used. You can use integers, characters, strings, doubles, booleans, any kind of data. In case of switch in case, you can use integers and characters. Those are the 2 types of data. But switch in case is useful when you have very specific kind of hierarchical data. Let's say room numbers, grades, certain things, they fall very nicely, A, B, C, D, F. Switch in case is useful for that purpose. So we'll talk about switch in case when we come back next Tuesday. But this much discussion is enough for us to talk about our project 2. And in project 2, it says write a C++ program that accepts a student ID. So we need ID, first name and last name. So first and last name will be strings. So you need to have a string library. Your ID could be a string as well or integer as well. It's either way it's going to work for our program. If you want to declare as the ID or a string, that's fine. If you want to declare as an integer, that's fine as well. Your student scores for 3 classes. So how many variables we have so far? 1, 2, 3, and 3 scores: English, math, and history. So you need to have at least 6 variables, at least 6, maybe more. But these are the 6 inputs you're going to have. These are the values the user will provide you, 6 inputs. Then calculate the student's total and average scores. So how do you calculate a total for those 3 classes? Total equals to quali? Yeah, total equals to English plus math plus history. That's your total formula. How do you calculate your average? Average equals to total divided by 3. So those are two formulas. So you need 2 more variables, one for total, one for average. So far you need 8 variables. What variable do you recommend for total? Yeah, what type of variable do you recommend? Integers or doubles? So let me ask you this: what
the score is being presented as fractions or just whole numbers?
So average will be in fractions. So average will be 97.55, for example. So average has to be a double, right? Otherwise you will lose the precision. So if the average is in double and your average equals to total divided by 3, then it means you might lose some precision and there might be a mismatch. So I recommend declare your total as double as well.
Everything.
Yeah, so declare your English, math, history, total, and average as doubles. Those 5 variables as doubles. Your first and last name as strings, and your ID is up to you if you want to declare as integers or strings. Okay, so that's your 8 variables. Then it says also calculate the letter grade for the student by using the following criteria. So if the student has an average total average doesn't mean for each subject, average for the entire class greater than 90, the student will get an A. Greater than or less than 90 and greater than 80 will be B, and C, D, and F. Then display the above grades appropriate for the student. If the student has an A grade, also display some kind of congratulation message. If the student has an F, display some kind of warning message. So your output would look like this. That's the name of your system. SGS, Student Grading System, Santana College, your name, date. So this will go on the top of your program. Now if you remember, we talked about \T, \T, \T. If you put that 3 times, it's going to put your let me just show you. If I have cout, and if I put \T 3 times and say student grading system, for example, let me just demonstrate this to you. So if I run this one, because of \T 3 times, it actually skips about 24 spaces. So you can do that if you like, just use that one. And if I put also \A anywhere, let's say \A here, and this time if you can hear carefully, did you hear Tuntu? That's because of \A I added. So this \A is added anywhere in your double quotes. So because that \A was added, it gave me a beep. So you can actually add a beep maybe at the end when you generate the final result for the student. Like a final grade is generated, you can display. And many times we see these kind of beeps when they run a program like that. Okay, let's go back to our instructions. So you will be getting ID from the user, first name from the user, last name from the user, and 3 scores, English, math, and history. Once you have added all those 3 scores, that's your total, that's your average, and then you calculate the grade. Again, how do you calculate the grade? If average is greater than 90, grade is A, and so on and so forth. And because this was an A, so you display congratulations, you got an A. Okay? Think we can do it? Whatever we have discussed in if condition and variable types, initializations, all those things, we should be able to complete it. Okay, we can try. Work with your groups virtually or here or exchange. Last time we did exchange information. I also would like you to start thinking about demonstrating here. So if your program is up and running and you are very proud of your program, send me a message before the class. Bring your program in your USB drive and come and demonstrate for our class. Second thing is, wouldn't it be a good idea that I give you a topic, you come and present the topic. I say your topic is discuss switching case, for example. You come and demonstrate it. Do you want to try to do that? Some of you?
Yeah.
That's a great experience for you because many of you will be presenting in front of the company, the clients, in front of other people. So this will give you an exposure. And of course, I'll be there to help you and support you. So if you are interested in demonstrating your programs and you are happy with your achievement, send me a message. And before we start our class, you can demonstrate your program. And also it would be nice that you can share some of the discussions with me. All right, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you very much.